Hello all, and welcome back to a new episode of Movies and Us, a weekly gathering place filled with conversations about movies, stories, and connection. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And today we are going to be reviewing the film Hamnet, which has gotten so much buzz, so much energy. And my gosh, we could not have done it and do this episode without Adam and Nikko, part of the Movie Archer fam, here with us today. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'll let Adam go. Oh wow, okay. I was gonna let Adam go first. Well, one, I'm so thankful to be here. Nikko Caruso from the Chicagoland area in the Chicago Indie Critics, and now a part of this lovely family with you all. And I can't think of a better movie for us to talk about for the first time, because I think we all cried watching it. So maybe we'll all cry together, and this will be like a cool bonding experience for us. Yeah. The best way to get to know someone is to see them and then cry. So someone I saw cry after he saw the film,
oh boy,
was Adam here, and we had a nice hug after. So I'm going to let Adam introduce himself now.
Adam Freed, founder of Movie Archer Podcast Network, moviearcher.com, and now I'm going to tell this story. I walked out of the Chicago International Film Festival screening of Hamnet way back in October, and the first person that I saw upon leaving into the parking deck is Nikko. And it just so happens he's walking in to see something else, and I'm walking out. Of course, we're a member of the same critics organization, and I literally still have tears streaming down my cheeks. And part of my mind was like, thank God I'm not in a place where I'm going to see anybody I know. And of course, the first face, and Nikko brings this unbelievable energy. And he's like, bro, what's up? It's so good to see you. And I'm like full tears. And it took him maybe a second or two for it to register. And he goes, oh, you were at the Hamnet screening. And he picked me up right away. And he goes, well, I guess we got to hug it out. And he gave me this huge embrace. And I don't even think I could say two words. He goes, but we do need a selfie. So somewhere in his phone, we have this selfie where he's bringing this unbelievable energy. And I look like absolute beat hell. I cried the whole way home. It took me about 45 minutes to get back. It was a therapeutic experience, and I'm just so thankful Nikko was there to pick me up when I needed him the most.
I was happy to be there.
If there's anyone to be greeted after this movie, it's Nikko. It's just like joyful energy.
I will make you feel better.
Yes. See, when you started the story, I thought you both watched the movie and had like a mutual tearful hug. But this was like a one-directional, Adam's just a mess, and Nikko's there holding all of his, the puddle of tears.
Right there. I was happy to hold.
She's like the guy in the corner of the boxing ring who carries the bucket. But it was for my tears. This is a unique film in the sense that I actually prefer seeing it alone. I don't want to watch this with anyone because I feel like Hamnet is such an individualized journey that I think for me, at least personally, watching it with anyone else that I know, respect, spend time with, it might have altered the way that I reacted. And I felt this real freedom to just have this like therapeutic, emotional outburst because I was like, I don't know any of these people and I don't care. Like I'm having my thing. I actually so much that even though, Nikko and I have been given the screener link, I chose to go back and see it a second time in the theater. And there was only a few people in the theater, and I kind of had that. I wanted to recreate that feeling of kind of like emotional isolationism, and it was mission accomplished. So I was really happy. This is the movie that you have to see in a theater. You can't be distracted. It's not a date movie in my estimation. I think it's like do this on your own.
Not a date movie.
No.
Yeah. The fastest way to like bare your soul with another human, and see if
it could be it could be one of those, look, if we can see Hamnet together and you still want to see me tomorrow, like maybe that's the ultimate green flag.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys saw each other again. Look at that.
We did.
All right. Well, excited to talk about this movie. I think there's so much to unpack, and it's clearly resonating with so many people. So, Sarah, hit us with a summary of Hamnet as we dive in.
All right. After losing their son Hamnet to plague, Agnes and William Shakespeare grapple with grief in 16th century England. A healer, Agnes must find strength to care for her surviving children while processing her devastating loss.
All right. And movies as tradition, let's start off with our one sentence summaries. Adam and Nikko, what are yours?
Ooh, mine is it's really simple. It's Chloe Zhao's masterpiece. I wanted to do something a little bit more creative, but for me, I'm a big Chloe Zhao fan, and I do think it's her masterpiece.
So good. Yeah. All right. So Adam, what is your one sentence summary for Hamnet?
Mine's a little longer than Nico's. I have a young couple fall in love only to experience unthinkable horror, to then find memorable and unmistakable emotional resolution.
So good. That's a great summary. I feel like I went on an emotional journey just in that one sentence summary. Sarah, what is your one sentence summary for Hamnet?
Yeah, mine is much less profound than Adam's, and mine is the 1500s were rough.
Amen.
You think?
Amen.
I was watching this and I was like, oh, thank God that I was not alive then.
I would have been a goner. Real quick.
I would have made it like 2 minutes and then I would have been murdered by a germ or something. Yeah.
Something's gone.
As an asthmatic, I think I look back at like every single generation, starting probably with Gen X, and I'd be like, well, I would just be dead.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I view the world.
Oh, thank you for modern medicine, honestly. Hospitals, yeah, delivery
Right.
rooms, really good, really good.
Vaccines still winning.
Yes. My one sentence summary is to cry or not to cry, there is no question.
Oh,
Nice. Well done.
bangers, you three bangers.
Wow.
All right, let's dive in. We're going to not spoil this movie quite yet. It is getting a lot of attention, a lot of buzz. It's clearly resonated with all of us deeply. And so go watch it. But we're going to give you just our high level takes and our thoughts about Hamnet, and without spoiling any of the plots of the film. Although I think the like movie summary kind of gives away quite a bit, but you need to go on the journey on your own. So yeah, let's roundtable. How did Hamnet land with you? Was this an anticipated film of the year? And then how did you feel watching Hamnet?
Yeah, I know for me, this was a film that I was anticipating highly, and it certainly didn't disappoint. I know Chloe Zhao kind of took the bag of cash from Marvel when she did Eternals, but really returning back to the artistic form that she established in Nomadland. This was something I was really looking forward to when I saw a casting that included Jesse Buckley, Paul Mescal, Joe Alwyn. It was just something that I couldn't wait. And not that I'm a Shakespearean scholar by any means, but it's certainly the literature side of my brain and in my education is certainly piqued, and my interest is piqued whenever that name comes up. And I think with the success of the novel from 2020 that Maggie O'Farrell wrote, it was something I was just waiting for. So very highly anticipated coming into the year.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. I'm a huge fan of Chloe Zhao, and I love Eternals. I want to put that out there. I'm also an Eternals defender.
You're the guy. You're the one.
I'm the guy.
Wow.
I saw it twice in theater.
Oh my God.
I do wish it was a little better, but I see what she was going for, and I'm like, I love this. But I think why I was anticipating this film so much is not only am I a fan of her, but it was Adam, that return to the artistic after doing something sort of, surreal and comic booky. And she also she does something with her films that always strikes me, how real they feel and how like connected to the earth and humanity they are. And I'm someone who feels a lot. So I feel like when I watch her films, especially like The Rider and Nomadland, I feel like she's trying to talk to you in such a way as in the audience, and she just invokes an emotional chord in me. So when I kept learning things about this film, I was like, oh, she's going to make me cry. She's going to make me feel, but she's also going to make me hopeful. She's going to give me something optimistic. And we'll touch on that later as we get into more spoilers and stuff. So I went into this movie expecting to be sad. A lot of the early word was like, you're going to cry. Your heart's going to be torn to pieces. But I knew she was going to sew it back up for me. I just knew it. And the way this movie leaves off is probably my favorite ending of the year because of
Easily.
what it did for me in my life at this moment in time too.
Deeply personal. I love what you shared. That was so good around like sewing you back up after ripping you open, you know?
Oh yeah.
And
She rips
gently,
you open.
gently, just getting there, but gently and tenderly sewing you back up at the end. So good. And that was in Adam's one sentence summary too around the emotional resolution. We're going to have to talk about that as well. Some really great choices there. Sarah, thoughts about Hamnet and how this landed for you?
Yeah, I struggle to talk about this film. I think it is brilliant on a technical level. Like the cinematography is outstanding. All of those technical components are great. Jessie Buckley, fantastic performance. I struggled to feel like invested in these characters and invested in the story. And so I on like a personal watching level, I didn't connect with this. But on an artistic level, I get it and I can appreciate that. So like even when I was trying to like log this on Letterboxd, I really struggled because I was like, I don't know what to do with this film because it is fantastic. It is great. It just didn't resonate with me like it has resonated with so many other people. But I'm also a big fan of Chloe Zhao, and I think she is doing fantastic work here. Like the hype is warranted. I am just the weirdo that didn't connect with this as much, but I can appreciate it as a piece of art. So that's kind of where I'm at with this film, kind of in a weird spot with it.
You know, I don't know if that makes you a weirdo. I think that makes you human because I think we're all going to connect with an emotional story. And the only weapons we bring into that connection is the experiences that we've had. Right. And full disclosure, like Hamnet, the child that the film is named after, is 11 years old. I have an 11-year-old son. So from Jump Street, this film had its hooks in me. It came to me from a place where it directly linked to my personal experience. And so for me, it was already emotional. Now, if I had to fight my way into that, I might have felt like Sarah does. But for me, it was a direct intersection between my life and my love, which is film. And I was like, oh yeah, this is going to work. It's already working in Act 1, which I know we're going to talk about here pretty quickly.
Yeah, so good. No, I love the honesty with that, Sarah. It's so good. As the movie was happening, I was thinking about if it was connecting with you or not, because I kind of know how you watch movies, and so there's some things that happen, especially in the tee up of these two, that I think will be fascinating to talk about. I was bawling by the end of the movie. I actually brought tissues because in our group chat, you two were like, bring tissues and yourself. So I did. I saw it with two friends. I bought 3 packs of tissues, one for each of us, the little tiny pack. The problem is the tissues had the like not too crinkly plastic, but kind of crinkly plastic. And this movie is very quiet. And so I'm like in this deep emotional moment, I'm like, I can't even use my tissues because this beautiful silence that Chloe Zhao is inviting me to sit in is just sitting in the air. My entire packed theater was so quiet and respectful of this film, which I thought was kind of a magical theater going experience. So I was bawling by the end. I think the middle section is where I was not sure yet how I was feeling about this film, but I think the third act really makes this film sing. And I think it is like essential to this film working as great as it does. And I find that a lot of films that cover grief and loss often will leave us in essentially the end of the second act of this film. And what Chloe Zhao does is takes us one step closer to that catharsis, that healing, that hopefulness, that legacy theme that I think is essential to this film working as well as it does for anyone who's experienced grief and longing for some meaning to come out of all of it. So I ended up feeling far more favorable with this film, but I was a little worried there in the middle section. I was like, I don't know what's not clicking here, but the third act clicked for me.
I'm so glad you say that, Jen, because I really relate to that. I felt almost the exact same way as you did, where after the huge, the what happens, I got
Mm-hmm.
to such a place of emotion and darkness. And
Yeah.
as the rest of the second act is playing out, I was the same way. I'm like, okay, wait, I got somewhere and I don't know how we're gonna, like, I
Now
knew I
what?
was anticipating that she was gonna really end it strong, but of course, like, I couldn't in the moment. I'm like, well, I have to sit here and absorb. I can't be thinking ahead. And I
Mm.
think everyone tries to be objective when we go into these films. And my belief is always like, we could do that, but only like 75% for two reasons. One, we all have certain things that, like Adam was saying, that impact us. And even kind of what like Sarah was talking about, things that like emotionally move you. And there's going to be things that happen in a film that always win you over or always turn you away, I think. But number two, we live in a day and age where any single person can talk about any single topic at any single moment in time. And I think the way the film space and social media is going is there is a lot of this like early word of movies gets like very loud. And so it is hard to go in, especially when you're excited for it and not be like, is this going to live up? So same place as you, Jen. I started feeling like, okay, I know she's going to bring it home, but I'm actually don't know how I feel about this film right now. Now I'm getting nervous because I was so excited. And is this going to disappoint me? And those thoughts there. And then the third act
Yeah.
happens. And I love the word you used, essential, because I
Mm.
do think the third act and the way this movie ends is like the reason why the film works. And if it ended in a much different way, I think the conversation around the movie and the majority of positive praise is much smaller, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Completely agree.
absolutely.
I think it's very difficult for a film and for a filmmaker to keep people at a high emotional register. And I think sometimes we get to a point where we have a big emotional moment, like you kind of referenced. And then there is this, almost like on a roller coaster, like there is going to be that emotional nadir after we have that apex. And then it's almost like she found a way to build it back up again. And I almost think that that's a
Mm.
greater testament to her success as a filmmaker with Hamnet,
Mhm.
that she could get us
Mm.
up, allow us to come back down, and then get us back there and beyond again. It wasn't a one trick or like a singular emotional moment. There were several for me. And so I kind of enjoyed even more the second time getting to ride those highs and lows. And it made
Mhm.
me appreciate some of the things like the cinematography of Lucas Zal, who is amazing.
Mhm.
In some of those lower emotional moments, knowing like I'm going to feed myself with this artistically, knowing that my emotions will be brought back. And I didn't need them or didn't feel like I needed to ride them as much on a
Mm.
second viewing.
Mm, mm. Yeah, the your emotions were primed so you could take in more of those details and those choices that really add to the kind of kaleidoscope of how this is all structured together. There's so much like woven threads, I think, throughout that you have to fill in the gaps for or kind of bridge those gaps for to bring that symbolism and metaphors work that she's doing in a lot of especially the forest sequences. Yeah, so good. Well, let's give a spoiler alert. So, if you haven't seen Hamnet, here's our kaleidoscope of thoughts and opinions in the spectrum of how we feel about Hamnet. Go watch it, decide for yourself how you feel about it. But I think I really appreciate actually Nico's final word for me before I actually went to go watch this movie. I had your voice in my head during it, where he says, "Stick with it, like stay with the film. It's a
Mhm.
heavy hitter, but stay with it." And I
Mhm.
think that is essential to continue to be in this world, and it's a lot, but there's a lot waiting for you at the end there too. So in
Beautifully
the words of
said.
Nico, stay with it. It's a heavy hitter, but stay with it. Okay, well, we have full free right now to talk about some of the things that Hamnet chooses to make in its choices and filmmaking components. What are some of the things that really stood out to you about what Hamnet does to make this work the way it does?
I think from Jump Street, the thing that jumped out to me in Act One
Mm,
was the use of flora and fauna. And
mm,
it was such an earthbound film, because I know that people are going to say this is a film about William Shakespeare. I didn't read it that way. This is Agnes's story, and Shakespeare is really a secondary character in her story. And her story begins and ends with her feet um, on the soil. And as we look up in that tree, and if you look at the long string of events that take place throughout her life within the story, all of them go back to her spirituality, and her spirituality is rooted in her connection to Mother Earth. Um, all joking aside, there was like a tiny little piece of me where my brain went to Avatar, the first Avatar film, and just how connected it was to that planet. And to see the tree, the hawk, the first birth sequence when she gave birth to her daughter, Susanna, who, by the way, was her only child born outdoors and happened to be her healthiest child throughout the film. I think there was a lot to that. And it was kind of like and we shall all return ashes to ashes and dust to dust. I really felt that. And I feel like Chloe Zhao did an amazing job of building a very broad base of the pyramid of this film connected to the earth. Like you couldn't miss it.
And I love the contrast that provides too, because we start with her in nature connected to the earth, and as the film goes on and her life changes and they get married and they have kids, then she's spending more and more time indoors.
Yes.
And you feel that that isolation, and you feel that trapped feeling because she's indoors. She's having to walk on this hard wood. It's not the same. She's not where she should be. And I feel like the cinematography does a great job of making you feel that. You know that she's missing that connection to the earth. And the fact that the film allows you to feel that so deeply just with these images on the screen, I think is really, really impressive and a powerful contrast.
I love that you... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, Nico, it's all you.
No, I was just going to say, like, I love that you two are talking about the earth, because literally the opening shot, when you see the shot of her in the soil, she's laying down, the way like the roots are around her, it literally looks like she's in a womb. And I think it's this beautiful example of like, we are like these sentient human beings, but we are creatures of this earth. And we, at the end of the day, are going to adhere to that natural life and death process of this planet. And what really stuck out to me is why I was impacted so greatly by this movie is that theme of life and death, and how this movie is almost, I felt like this movie was Chloe Zhao telling me it's okay, that it's okay to be afraid of death. It's okay to feel immense loss and experience grief in your own way. And in a way, can you accept this idea of death? Like the optimism that comes with it, the hope that comes with, okay, you grieving, to quote something like WandaVision, right? Is that love going on? And as someone who is, I'm very scared to die. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm very scared to die. I'm very afraid of losing people in my life, because in the last sort of 10, 15 years of my life, I've been really lucky to where I haven't lost any family or friends who were that close to me. And then I started reflecting on that in this year and became very, very, very afraid of it as I turned 30. I turned 30 a couple of weeks ago, and the whole year I thought about death. And
started facing your mortality a little bit.
Right, exactly. And I was so resistant to it. I was almost angry at it. I was talking about it in therapy a lot. Like I'm so angry at the fact that I have to die one day, or that my loved ones have to die one day, and I can't have them forever. Like, how cruel is that? And this movie really healed that, because we see William and Agnes experience that same feeling. Now, I don't have children myself. I hope to one day. But what I pulled from this film is like, death is something I hate and I can't comprehend. And by the end of the movie, with how Agnes is tied to the earth, I've been on a journey to accept it, because it is a natural, beautiful part of our life, really of all life on this earth. You are alive, and then you die one day. And when you die, your energy or your spirit is being transported somewhere else. And whatever you comprehend that is in our physical sense, of course, I won't know what that is when it happens one day. I hope it's somewhere cool. I hope I'm walking with little Hamnet through the wooden door into the darkness, right? I hope I could look back and like see someone for one last time, like my mom or my dad, or like somebody. And so a long-winded response to you both to say that theme was like, even on a rewatch, hit so hard of you will live and you will die. And a few movies this year touch on that. Like, a movie like 28 Years Later also really tries to touch on that too. So I found that I was somehow able to like tie Hamnet and 28 Years Later together and be like, wow, they both, one was at the start of the year and one was at the end of the year. One kind of made me afraid of it
Wow.
more, and the other film kind of healed me with it. So a hell of a double feature that would be. 28 Years Later and Hamnet.
Where I feel like 28 Years Later kind of leaves that revelation or that unboxing for its third act. I think the brilliance of Chloe Zhao here is that we literally open with Agnes, as you said so well, Nikko, embraced by the roots of that tree. She gives birth to her oldest child, clutching the roots of that tree. Her hawk, her pet, when it dies, they lay it to rest, to decompose and nourish the roots of that tree. And I think great directors can make a point without beating you over the head by it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is done very subtly and very cautiously, but it's there and you can't deny it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think there's something also that Chloe Zhao is clearly woven into this film, which is that there's a bigness and a largeness to our communal experience of these things. So one of the things that moved me so much is in the the third act, when Jessie Buckley's character Agnes reaches out to her son. Well, her son on stage being personified and played as this character. The shot of seeing everyone else also instinctively reach their hand out just got me so good. And I think that is like the communal experience of pain, but also of art. And I think there's purpose and meaning in that I thought was so beautiful, and how she showcased how every pain, every trauma that you've experienced when channeled into art is actually shared. And so I think a lot of films that try and talk about and cover grief often leave us solely scoped to that one story of the one family or whatever it is, and they leave us with the ending loss, and there's like a little bit of hopefulness, but like not that much, and you're still kind of sitting in the pain and the loss. But she brings us into like all of us, and maybe that's also in line with this theme around the nature and a lot of the forest imagery, is that we actually become just a small little piece of dust amongst many others that are going through the same thing. And that communal shared experience is actually the most meaningful thing that could happen from her loss, you know? So I think that was a powerful shot to just see all the hands reaching forward to.
And like you said, that that communal experience is watching art, somebody using art to channel something. And that's literally what we're sitting here talking about right now, how Hamnet made us all feel. You know what I mean? It's so cool.
Yeah.
I feel like if you ever wanted to teach a group of up and coming learners about mirror neurons, about the idea that like we learn empathy, we learn sympathy, we learn how to emotionally resonate on one another's wavelengths by seeing other people experience. The reach out that you mentioned, Jen, she had an experience, and everybody in the audience standing there at the Globe, they saw her have that experience. They're like, we want that same experience for her, but for us as a collective.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about it is sitting in a movie theater, watching people watching live theater, we all shared the same thing.
Yeah.
It was a form of resonance emotionally that I hadn't experienced before. And I think that's what really dug like a layer deeper into my heart, was that I was experiencing what she was. And here we are living 500 years apart from one another. And I've never experienced that. And it's one of the reasons why I love this movie so much.
Yeah, this movie is so self-reflexive in so many different layers, and the way that all of the other people in the audience in the pit, gosh, to experience Shakespeare in Pit would be amazing, side note. But everyone in the pit moved to tears, processing their own grief, someone I'm sure that they've lost, that they are like becoming mirrored in. And then we as the audience watching this in a packed theater is pretty magical. Hearing sniffles and snot in every direction is pretty powerful, because we are one of the many in the pit as well watching this. So there's like multi-layered self-reflexiveness of this was really quite cool to see like unfold like an onion or like a butterfly. I don't know. It was really fascinating to experience, which is why I think the third act is truly essential to this being such a special film compared to a slew of other films that definitely cover grief and in cathartic ways as well. But there's something more here that I think is really powerful.
Sarah, can I ask you about your viewing experience? I know Nikko and I saw
Yeah.
this at a festival, so it was packed on our first go round. Jen saw it in LA, where there's a wonderful culture of theater going. You, at the outset, said that maybe you didn't quite connect to this the way that you wanted to or the way that you thought you would.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you see it? How did you see it? What was the house like that night? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so I saw this at 10 a.m. on a Sunday, and
Bless
to
your
my
soul.
Yeah.
Bless your soul.
hey man, I am here for the early bird showing.
I
doing
I'm
the
not
work.
trying to go see a movie at night. I want to be in the theater at like 9, 10 a.m.
I'm with you.
love
And to my surprise, there were other people in that theater. I was very shocked. There was probably like 10 other people kind of scattered throughout the theater. So pretty surprising for 10 a.m. on a Sunday.
Wow. So there's
Were
a
you
couple
at any
others.
point moved emotionally, or did you kind of like ride it at maybe a lesser frequency?
I think to me, I didn't feel like super invested in Agnes or William Shakespeare. Like I had sympathy and empathy for what they were going through. Jessie Buckley gives such a good performance.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she is phenomenal.
She's got nothing left after that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like wow, and she's just a fantastic actress, but like she
Oh.
really gives it all in this. But I think yeah, I struggled to go along with the story, and it just felt like, emotional torture for 2 hours, and I'm like, why are we doing this? I'm not having a great time with this. But one of the most one of the scenes that I really appreciated though was it's a quiet moment with Emily Watson's character, and she's talking about her own loss and how it's so normalized to her, and you can just feel the weight of that grief that she hasn't processed. And it's just a couple of lines. It's very short, it's very quick, it's very quiet, as a lot of this movie is. But I thought that was such a powerful moment in really showing us this world and the realities of what it was like to be a woman in the 1500s and how normalized that grief was. And so then I really love how that scene contrasted with that third act scene that you guys were just talking about. How many people in that room had been through the same thing that Agnes had been through, and just the way that grief is just like infecting everybody in that society in a way that at least I've never known being a person living in the 21st century in America, So I appreciated those little things to really help deepen what we're going through and helping us understand that it's not just Agnes and William that are going through this, but this is something that so many people have gone through as well. I love those little moments of zooming out.
Yeah, I feel like this story is just a collection of those little moments that I don't think I had a full appreciation for until I got a chance to watch it again. The little comments that I picked up on amounted to my realization that this whole film, at least to me, is about people transitioning outside of their comfort zones. And we've talked about Agnes leaving her very natural setting and, moving to indoors. Eventually, her husband goes to the least natural environment on earth, a major metropolis in London, that she refuses. She won't live there. And so Stratford becomes a more attractive location for her eventually. But when she comes to London and we eventually see her in the Globe, her behavior is so defensive. And it is absolutely, it's reprehensible theater behavior, but it's not because she doesn't want to be there. It's because she doesn't know how to behave there. It's like the country mouse has become the city mouse. And I loved on a second viewing her brother Bartholomew because he became the conduit that allowed her to find the emotional conclusion that she needed. But if it hadn't been for his courage to take her there and to stand by her side and to say, no, just stick with it. Stick with it. Like we had to do with Hamnet. Just stay here and kind of like sit in it and let your husband's story wash over you. Because she showed the courage to leave her comfort zone, that final smile that she shares, that kind of like knowing and tearful realization that like, God, my heart is broken, but I can see all the pieces. And I think I know how to put the puzzle back together now. I think that was outstanding. I think that was truly outstanding.
I love that point because she finally got to, and like it takes two to tango here, but in that moment, the way she is in the theater, like you said, Adam, is she's watching something that's like in a language that she doesn't understand at first. And I think why they are, Sarah, I will agree with you, they're frustrating characters together because they, from the jump, are two very different people. And when their grieving process start, they both are grieving in completely different ways that each other can't understand, can't relate to, and can't comprehend. And at the very end, she sees it. And, William Shakespeare in here, he is grieving through this art, this performance. And, watching her be able to fully embrace that by the end is so special because I think for me, the whole film, I wanted them to be able to connect and like grieve together and remain strong as a family unit, but they just can't. And I was really struck by that too, to watch her be able to finally understand. And of course she digested it in her own way, but
and in her own time,
understand that artwork, right? And that's like what's so cool about the two characters in this film is it's someone of the earth in Agnes, right? Who's very connected to it, very connected to nature and spirituality. And William Shakespeare represent like how humans get so far away from that. And like, he's looking to go to London. He's looking to work. He has to write these stories, right? And he's sort of, jumping into the relationship without really like thinking about it too much, right? And I think his like aloofness at times I thought was like frustrating, but also like oddly charming. And he's a great actor. Also, I want to say Mr. Joe Alwyn here. I don't know if anyone is a Swiftie on this screen. If anyone is a Swiftie listening, you could feel however you want about him. I am not going to comment on how you feel about his relationship with Taylor over the how many years that they were together. You could feel how you want to feel. I respect it all. I respect her so much. He is a fine actor, though. Let me tell you that. And if you deny that, you are lying to yourself. And he has a lot of proof in the last 3 years. So you may dislike him for other reasons. But when it comes to him in a film, I need that respect to be given to Mr. Joe. I just want to put that out there. He's very good. Very good in this film. And his role is so great by the end because he's such a great support to his sister. Yeah. And I'm very close with my sister. So watching them sort of be really strong together, especially by the end, I love. So shout out to Joe Alwyn and Swifties. I love you. My respect goes to you as well. But give Joe some respect in terms of his craft. You can feel how you want as a person, but let's separate the art from the person there. It's not always easy to do and shouldn't always be done depending on the person. But in Joe's case, I think we could acknowledge he's a fine actor. Thank you. That was my spiel. I could be done now. I'm sorry.
I love Adam's he's good.
He's good. Yeah, he's good. No, I like him in it. And I had a greater value for his character upon a second viewing because of what he meant initially in just approving their marriage. Obviously, that was the custom of the time, and he kind of represented the family in that way. But then kind of giving her what she needed, even though it's not what she thought she wanted. And the interesting thing about his character, Bartholomew, is there was a lot of symmetry with what we saw from 11-year-old Hamnet. He was asked to go to a place that he didn't want to go. And I don't mean geographically, but the last thing 11-year-old wants is for their dad to leave. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to try to hold myself together. And when his dad went to London shortly after their sword fighting, their stage fighting lesson, and his dad said to him, be brave, be strong, and take care of your mother and your sister. I've said those words to my own son so many times. And to see that internalized by this young actor and then manifest itself on screen so far that he takes the sickly breath from his sister and he breathes it in. And he isn't just brave and he isn't just strong. He saves her life by giving his own.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who don't have kids will look at this scene in the movie and be like, well, come on, that's a movie. It is shocking how brave children can be. And their sense of right and wrong is so clear because it hasn't been manipulated by age and by becoming jaded and by becoming 30 and 40 and viewing our own mortality. He looked at it like right and wrong. And my dad gave me a job to do. And he did it. And he gave his life to do it. And that, I think, before we get to Act 3, just broke me. It broke me. And I can't tell you, and I know you can hear it in my voice, how difficult that is to encapsulate in art. And for me to see that in my own family, but to be able to see it on screen, I won't forget that the rest of my life. And that's why this movie, I went back and narcissistically, I read my own review that I wrote because I want to be like, what did I say after I watched this the first time? How did I feel? Because that was months ago. And I've probably written 40 reviews since then. And so I was like, wow, it stuck with me now and it still sticks with me today. And I think that gives it a sense of permanence in my heart. And so that's one of the things about the film I wanted to talk about that I don't know if you guys connected to, but I'll never forget it.
That's so good. I love when a film almost just is able to pierce past all of the stuff that we have in us and go straight to that like soft, squishiest parts of our hearts. And it's unexplainable. And then we don't know when it happens and with what film. For Adam and Nikko, it might be for Hamnet. For Sarah, it's going to be another film that just like, it really feels like it's just able to clear through all of the other stuff that we bring into a film and pierce to the deep center core and truly change us or resonate with us in a way that feels so satisfying in the ways that we feel seen. I don't know about you, Nikko, you talked about like the fear of death and whatnot. And that same scene when little baby Hamnet chooses to be brave, when he starts to call out for his mother because he's afraid, when he's in that in-between space, that moved me so deeply to see just this young child choose this incredibly heroic act to make his father proud, but to feel that isolation and that aloneness. And I think that is a powerful feeling that we have this complicated relationship with death in a lot of ways. The cinematography contributes to so much of this. Those overhead shots of almost this family being stalked and watched is kind of filmed like a horror movie in some moments. But the inevitability of what's to come is kind of here for all of us. And this question is basically asking us, how will we give ourselves over to that? Or will we find meaning, purpose, healing, togetherness in that with our fellow man? And I think that allows us to change and alchemize our fear, our terror of this thing that is inevitable to become what connects us instead of what isolates us. So that's that deeper layer that this film just so gently lands us into by the end of the movie. Yeah. But
it's a shared experience.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. So performances. There were some incredible ones. Let's shout out some of the ones that really stood out to us. Jessie Buckley, Sarah, do you want to talk a little about her performance and what she's doing in this film, playing this character that is experiencing so many emotions all at once? The joy of falling in love all the way through to the frustration of loss and also the pain of loss. Yeah. Sarah, tell us your thoughts about Jessie Buckley in this film.
I mean, she's just tremendous in this. Like, it's hard to put words around just how good she is. And she has been a consistently impressive actress. Like, she has a impressive body of work, but holy cow, I feel like this just like takes the cake. And, you know, she is the main character of this film. You know, William is a supporting member of the cast. It is about her and her grief. It is about her and just navigating through all of these changes, all of these really uncomfortable places, like you mentioned, Adam. And it is so raw and it feels tangible. And there's something like electric in her performance, and you can't look away. Like, she is so captivating in this. And I think it is because there is this rawness and this realness that she brings that you can feel through the screen. So all the Oscar hype is warranted. If she does not win Best Actress, I'm going to be upset. And I didn't even like this movie as much as you guys. She is absolutely tremendous in this.
I was just going to ask that. I was going to ask you, Sarah. I know it's early, but the Oscar buzz and the hype, are we all kind of in agreement there that she's the front runner? Or I know, Nikko, you've got a film sitting behind you right there that you're pretty passionate about, one of the lead performances as well.
You know, I would love. So I'm a big Jessie Buckley fan, and I do think she's incredible, and I would love to see her win. It would be a really good win, especially the way this movie shattered me so much, and I do think she's the front runner and should be. I am very partial to Ava Victor and Sorry Baby. Probably won't be nominated. I will say a movie I'm much later to than most people is Rose Byrne in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. And I know she's getting a lot of love and winning a lot of critics groups and stuff. I love Renata Reinsva in Sentimental Value. Now I'm just like naming the whole thing. Jessie Buckley, it's like, I think the actress category this year for me is like going to be the strongest. But I would love her to win. And I'm like imagining her speech and just her accent. I think it's just going to be wonderful to me. I think it's going to be emotional too. And, I would like her to make me cry multiple Sundays throughout award season. I think that would be fun. I think that would be fun for us all to experience together again.
I think that's coming. There's a few loose ends I need to tie up in terms of some of my screeners, but I haven't seen anything this year in the actress category that has touched what she accomplished. So I'm in full agreement with what Sarah had to say. And the thing I like about this film is that it's not really a one-trick performance pony, but it does have a serious heavy hitter to promote right up front.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I really love that she brings this fierceness to this character. I think it would be easy for her to play a more tender, softer portrayal of a mother, but she reminds me a lot of my mom. There's like a defiance, there's a strength, there's a fierceness you see, especially when she's in like mama bear mode, when she's taking care of Hamnet or her children that are sick. It's like literally nothing else is going through her mind other than get me what I need because I am going to take care of my child. And like she just whips into this like just incredible force of strength and like this protectiveness that bursts out of her that I think was so powerful. And even in the court strip period between her and Paul Mescal's character with Shakespeare, she holds her own. She has her identity and defiance, and she protects and sets her boundaries of her desires to stay where she wants to live. I just really appreciated that multifaceted nature of showcasing this version of motherhood and what it looks like to be a caretaker. There's nothing soft about it. It's actually grueling and laborious. And she brings that fierceness to this role that I think is really essential and really made me root for her. So reminds me of my mama quite a bit.
And I think that the traits that she is able to embody are indicative of all great mothers. Yeah. And you use the term mother bear, but there's this, I think, underappreciated physicality to her performance. Yeah. And it's not just in grief and it's not just in childbirth, but even the physical nature of their initial courting. and how she was in, and I know, like, this, we're talking about the guy who just starred in Gladiator 2, which was a very physical role. She is by far the more physically imposing of the two performers in those scenes. And there's no question who has the upper hand when it comes to the physicality between the two. And I love that her performance contained such multitudes. I thought that was outstanding.
It's so good. It's so good. She's getting lots of buzz, lots of excitement for her performance. I have to give a shout out to Paul Mescal. I'm a huge fan of Paul Mescal. I think he is an incredibly nuanced actor, which is hard to do. And I think he is perfectly deployed in this film because it's a much more subtle, understated performance, but it's so deeply emotional. And this is Agnes's story, but Paul Mescal does so much with his eyes in this movie to communicate 1,000 things that could not be spoken, but you can feel the weight of it that he's carrying. So in that final scene where they look at each other and he has tears in his eyes and he feels a catharsis of she finally understands, and you see all the ways that he's been missed the rest of the film. I just think it's a quieter, more subtle, more understated performance, but just huge, deep wells of emotion that he's able to communicate with so little. And that's often some of my favorite acting performances because it is so small and understated.
My hot take is he should be in winning conversation, and I don't think he is, because for all the brilliant points you just shared, Jen, but also to talk about some of his earlier choices in the film. I love how like awkward and weird he is at the beginning and how he like can't talk to her because a lot of times a lot of great artists struggle to connect with other people. And by the end of the movie, we see, like, I love the scene where he is just so drunk and he's frustrated and like he can't make the story. And I think on the surface level, some people would digest that, so, he's just drunk and angry, and it's because he cannot give the story of how he's grieving. Like, he cannot apologize. He cannot talk about how upset he is. Like he has to make the story that's the only way he's going to be able to process his son's death, and it's paid off for so brilliant in the third act. And that's why I also love how he's playing William Shakespeare, and they chose not to make William Shakespeare like this really confident, suave, like really like sophisticated, like he like swoons her right away. Like she's kind of like, dude, who's this guy? At the beginning, she's like, I don't know about you. And like his family thinks he's a joke and everything. And like, he's a character who like, you can't see the greatness in him until he really has that stage. And the fire when he's directing those two actors and he makes them do it over and over again. And I'm like, oh, I love that there, because that's where it's coming out. No, this is the language he knows, and this is the way he could communicate. And so I love the performance so much. And Jen, I also love how you brought up, he's such a nuanced actor. I don't think he gets enough credit. I know a lot of people enjoy him, but like that After Sun performance and nomination is one of my favorites ever in the history of the Academy Awards. Not just because that was my favorite film of that year, but that performance, every time I watch that film, which is a film I cry through the whole thing, by the way. He makes me cry a lot, this guy. Normal people, like, he makes me cry too much, this guy. But he is able to channel something so human and so subtle that when you realize what he's doing, it hits you like a freight train. And you're like, wow, like a lesser actor would have went larger or louder with it, and it would have been less believable, less good. So I love his performance in here, and he would be in winning conversation for me if it was up to me. It's not up to me, but maybe it should be up to us, I don't know.
Maybe one day it will be up to us. One of the subtle things that I really liked, and you talked about the awkwardness of their courting, was that there's this really nice callback to a Shakespeare play called The Taming of the Shrew. And there's a line in that play where the question is presented, will you woo this wildcat? And here's Shakespeare attempting to woo this very earthen woman who is spiritually connected, to the woods like nobody else in that time period. and he can't break through. But if you think back, the first time that he actually gets through to her is when he tells her the story. He tells her a story and she kind of pauses and looks at him and she goes, oh, that's a good story, right? And it was like, this is what's inside of me. And it was the first opportunity that he got to like play a home game with her and impress her with what he's best at. And you don't see that again until he's a broken man trying to put back the pieces of his heart in on stage and in the globe. And so it's like you get a little teaser of what's there, and then it doesn't pay off until the third act. Again, act of genius by Zhao. And you talk about somebody who should be nominated. Chloe Zhao should be nominated. I think she needs to be in winning conversation as well. And I don't think she will be because she's young and already has one. Mm-hmm. But if she didn't win Nomadland, I think she could win for this.
I agree with you. I would also think if somehow she won and became a 2-time winner, I would think I would like learn how to do flips, because like that would be so special.
She deserves it.
Like it's that good of a directorial effort, and I think she deserves some more flowers from a lot of places. It's just one of those seasons where there's really good other options, and there is one that feels like it's time, and that's sort of gonna probably go the distance, which
PTA is lurking,
be valid and fun too. And but it's as competitive as I think actress is, I think director is like also insanely competitive, and there's going to be some really great people who don't get in. And there's going to be, in the list of 5, it's going to be hard for me to pick, especially when we vote in our critics group, Adam, like who I want to win, because I think you could go, like I could personally go about 5 different ways.
With valid arguments and this is going to be one of the all-time great Oscars.
I agree with you.
I get sick of the echo every year. Oh, this has not been a good year in movies. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think this has been a year of parody. This has been a year of experimentation with a lot of payoff. And so there's a lot of different ways this can go. And if you forced me to vote right now, I couldn't tell you who I'm going to vote for. Couldn't. I really need to dig in, and maybe that's where I spend some time over the next couple of weeks.
We love to see it as movie lovers, man. We love to see our decisions be very difficult for when we can't pick. You know, sometimes there's a year where there's just a standout, but and they're so different. They're so deeply personal. I think one of the things that's really been moving to see is how much Chloe Zhao, Jessie Buckley, Paul Mescal in their interviews are sharing how much just making this changed them too. I don't know, like Nikko, everything that you were feeling around that fear of aging and whatnot, Chloe Zhao talks about as like, this is part of why she made this movie as she was getting older and realizing, oh my gosh, I have to be confronted with my humanity, you know, and what do I do about this? And this is her catharsis. So I think that's neat to see. And Sinners, One Battle Another, it's all birthed from these really personal places, which I think we can feel. Like we as moviegoers, we can feel when it means something to them. And this is, it's just, it has to come out in some way. And this is what gets to come out.
It's genuine. It's genuine. It's real art that comes from a real place. And it's not, nothing against Lifetime, but it's not the contrived Lifetime formula that we get spoon fed on streamers. That you can tell this is a period piece film, but it comes from a very contemporary heart. And I think that's why it is special.
Yeah. So good. Okay. We're nearing the end here. Any shout outs, things we're like, gosh, we cannot end this recording without talking about this aspect of Hamnet.
Got to talk about the score. I love the score, Ricker's score. Especially the track when she walks into the dome for the first time, and like it gets louder and more like surreal, if you will. I think the music complements this movie so well. And I want to say this because I understand the argument against it, and I will give it to someone. But if there was ever a movie that was going to use On the Nature of Daylight again, that song that kicks in when she puts her hand out, it's in Arrival, it's in The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 3. It's been used a lot in the last decade. Some call it a cheat code. I say it's a cheat code I love. Give it to me every movie because it makes me cry every time. I listen to that song often because the way it makes me feel. And I think for the story this movie's trying to tell in that third act and where we see little Hamnet end up, it is a perfect song to use. And I just can't sing its praise enough. So the score of this movie, it almost operates like a character in and of itself because it sort of is guiding your emotions. Not all the time, but I think there's several moments where the music does guide your emotions, and it really culminates into that beautiful track at the end, which will make you feel all the feels, and it's just those strings. It's just like the perfect way to send little Hamnet into the next life, if you will, and allow Agnes and William to continue on with theirs and until they meet again someday, right?
Well, even the title of the track, On the Nature of Daylight, I mean, what does that score do in that moment? It provides daylight to the characters. It allows Agnes to see that her son's okay, and that truthfully he's in a better place than he could have ever been living in the 16th century to begin with, right? Pre-social media and whatnot. I don't know how they did it, but it's perfect. I understand the knock that it wasn't an original score to the film. But if there's something that fits as perfectly as this does, why reinvent the wheel? And I know that's a different argument for a different day.
And from the same composer. So like if he's going to use what he thinks is an appropriate track from his catalog, like he should have the say to be like, well, this is, I've used before, but this is like the perfect place for me to use it right now. Like other people have used my work to cap off their story. Well, I'm going to use it to cap off my own. And I think it's cool to watch an artist recognize that an aspect of their work or a section of their work that has been so influential to so many other artists, to recognize I can't come up with anything greater for this moment than this thing. So let me use it here. And I think it's a really cool, confident move too. I really like when I could tell like an actor or a filmmaker or like anyone on the set is doing something in a very confident manner. I give a lot of credit to that because I think when you're an artist, you have to really be confident. And there will be times where you almost have to like try to not convince the audience, but let the audience know like this works here. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's great too. But I know it does. And this is a very, I know it's perfect choice from everyone involved. And I love it. As soon as it kicked in is when I bawled the most because I knew it was coming. I heard it was in here. And as soon as she reaches her hand and you hear that, I was like, oh,
it's a sledgehammer. Yeah.
I was also like, let's go at the same time. Though I'm like, here's the track. Oh, wait, I'm going to be really sad, but let's go. And now I'm sad again.
All right. So shout out to the score. Sarah, any shout outs or even just choices that you found notable that Hamnet makes?
I have a really stupid question that I would like to pose to the group about this really like meaty, weighty, emotional film. Do we think that Agnes is force sensitive? Is she using the force? Is that like the spirituality? It's the force? That's what I kept wondering while watching.
Sarah, that's the coolest question in the world.
Survive this movie.
Somebody just watched the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. You can tell.
And you know what? Heck yeah, Sarah. Why not? I love it. Why not? Because I do believe there are. I don't want to get like this deep because we've all gotten incredibly deep and vulnerable, and it's been beautiful. And I don't want to derail us with this crazy point, but I do believe there are people on this earth who are a lot more connected to energy and spirituality. And yeah, I do think her character is a bit. Ascendant's not the word. Maybe one of you three can help me out. I do think her character is tapped in a little bit more to something. And whether it's something she's able to create in her mind, like she was able to visualize her son there, or for some surreal experience she did. I think she's force sensitive. I think she is someone who understands the planet she's living on and her role on it. And I think it rewarded her in that moment at the end. I would love to believe that because that's how I would hope I would experience a moment like that. I think I'm very motivated after this film to try to be more in tune with like my own energy and spirituality and stuff. If any of that made sense, I don't know if it did, but yes, I agree with you.
So
I
my takeaway here is that Agnes is the Yoda of the 16th century.
You're darn right she is.
I mean, there is a very
There we go.
literal explanation. I believe it was from Yoda that the Force is just the thing that binds all living creatures together, and its manipulation is kind of in the where I don't think Zhao was getting all George Lucas on us.
No.
I do think that the same way that tree, that the first image we see, how it's so deeply rooted into the earth, trees communicate with one another through their root system.
That's crazy.
And she keeps returning to that. And I think even though she was in London, what we saw with all of the interlocking hands, if you go back and squint, those look a lot like tree roots, don't they? And that is the root system of humanity embracing one another. And that's what we all need. And I think she only knew that it was possible below the surface of the earth. And here she found it in, of all places, this cosmopolitan city. And I think that was the great evolution of her character.
I'm not trying to undercut that with humor, Adam. I swear to you, I mean this. I literally have full body chills after you said that all the hands look like a tree, and like that. Wow. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
See this movie twice, everybody. You don't get that on the first watch.
Yeah, you're too busy. I can't see because there's tears in my eyes.
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah.
I can't see the screen. Adam, any shout outs in Hamnet? Little details, big details?
I think I used the name once, and I've elaborated on why he meant so much to me, but the performance of Jacoby Jupe, who plays young Hamnet at age 11, we underappreciate how hard it is for child actors to do what they need to do. I wish there were a special category at major award shows that recognized their plight. They are truly strangers in strange lands. And for a young man to accomplish what he did in this film, I think is worthy of talking about. And, if there were the performances under 16 or whatever that would look like, he would be front and center.
I think the Oscars need to start considering those types of performances, because he is in my 5, I need you to know. And also like I'm forgetting the actor's name, but the kid from Anatomy of a Fall a couple years ago. These are like year-defining, decade-defining performances.
And they just they get completely tossed aside because of the age of the performer.
Completely tossed aside when they're, like you said, Adam, Jacoby Jupe made me feel things that, hundreds of actors I've seen in films this year haven't been able to do, some of which have been acting for years. So brilliant point, and I'm glad you were the one to shout him out. I want you to know that.
Yeah. It's just an incredible, I'm like, where do they tap into that? It's like that. It's hard enough for like a grown human to tap into their emotions that deeply. Where are they pulling from? They must be tapped in as well, because those reserves, those deep emotions to then emote. I don't know how they do it. My gosh, incredible. My last little shout out is that I really loved, it's a small detail, and these are maybe one of the small details, Adam, that you're saying on a second watch really come to life more. But it's when Hamnet is now dead, and Agnes allows her daughter to go and see Hamnet's body, which is what she was denied as a child. And I thought that was really neat, because she's now changing the way that she wants her children to have permission to grieve and mourn and not be shut out from that. And I thought that was just such a small little detail, but the daughter asks and Agnes says, yes, you may go see him. Like, spend the time, let yourself feel the things you need to, because that's something that she didn't get to have with her own mother. So I just thought that the way that those small details that this film is showcasing, how this is not just Agnes's story, but almost this like multi-generational story. Agnes is processing the grief of losing her mother and all her childhood experiences that are also woven into this in a like years and ancestors of time and life lived. I just thought that was really neat. So I'm excited to see more of those small details come to life again, because that was one that I caught that I was like, this is genius. But I'm sure there's plenty more to discover.
And Sarah can't wait to go back and watch the whole thing again.
She's so ready.
So ready.
She's actually going to watch it at 0.5 speed to really let it soak into her pores. She's just going to marinate in Chloe Zhao's masterpiece.
I'm ready. Yes, another Sunday at 10 a.m. Let's go.
Yeah, you'll get done by 2:30. Yeah.
It's great.
I can't wait to read your 27-page thesis about how Hamnet is a manifesto for Yoda philosophy. So please publish and share.
I'm just saying, in a different world, she could be a Jedi.
Agnes is the real chosen one. Anakin messed it up. Agnes will put it all back together.
Just saying. We got options here, folks.
Congratulations. We have undermined ourselves.
I'm so sorry, guys. It was a really lovely discussion, and then I derailed it, so that's my bad.
I think, much like Chloe did at the end of the film, you added really important levity and really expanded the conversation. Like I went somewhere with that, with like being connected to energy and stuff. So no, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. Time for me to go touch everybody's soft flesh between their thumb and their pointer finger, because I want to see for them.
That was amazing.
All right. Well, on that note, shall we wrap, y'all? This is our review and discussion of Hamnet. You can find available out in theaters. We highly recommend going to see this in a movie theater with other people, whether it's the 10 a.m. showing or the 9 p.m. showing. Getting to see it with anyone together, even that one other person in the theater, is a special experience. So thank you for listening to this week's episode of Movies and Us. And a big thank you to you both, Adam and Nikko, for joining and sharing your hearts and souls. And just the vulnerability of this conversation was really, really special.
Thank you so much for having us. It was just, it was wonderful. I'm not just saying this truly. This is like probably the most special podcast I've ever done. Just in terms of what we talked about, the vulnerability that was shared. And I want to thank you, Sarah and Jen, for having Adam and I here, and also creating such a warm and open space for us to be able to do so. The tone you set is why I think we all were able to get to the places we got. So thank you for that.
True therapeutic environment.
Yeah, this is where we like connect our hands now to become trees together, everybody.
I think we all should reach out to each other. Yeah. If someone could edit in on the nature of daylight here and just let it play out.
Just for you, Nikko. Don't do it.
We all walked through the door. That's right. And now we're in the darkness, and we've moved on.
Oh, so good.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much for having us. I'm so happy that we got to talk about this, because I feel like it lets me put some of my feelings to rest, which I needed.
Yeah. Yeah. So beautiful. Where can people find more of your two beautiful souls on the internet and the interwebs, so they can hear you share your thoughts about films, share your tears with us? Yeah. Also, I would like to see the selfie at some point where Adam is a mess, a snotty-nosed mess, and Nikko's just
somewhere. I think Adam has it on his phone.
I'll
find it. But until then, everyone can follow me on Twitter. What a segue that was. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well done.
You can follow me here. You can follow me everywhere at Nikko Caruso, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd. Nikko Knows Film on TikTok, YouTube, and moviearcher.com, where I'll have other reviews, award stuff, etc., and also lovely part of the Movie Archer podcast network with these wonderful souls.
Adam,
all of you are such important parts of what we're doing and accomplishing at the Movie Archer podcast network. Social media, you find me at Movie Archer. As well as moviearcher.com, where we've got direct visual links via Archer Vision to all of the podcasts we're putting up, as well as a really gifted team of television writers, film writers that keep on top of everything that's going on in contemporary streaming film, contemporary theatrical releases, as well as television. So we try to cover a little bit of everything from horror to drama, and that's what we do at moviearcher.com.
All right, love it. We will include links to all of that in the show notes, so make sure to go follow Adam and Nikko. They're amazing. So we'll include links to those where you can easily find this. All right, well, our name, Movies and Us, sums it up. We're all about movies and the powerful ways we connect with each other like tree roots and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories, so everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us today. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you tune to your favorite shows. Drop us a rating review letting us know if you were dehydrated after watching Hamnet as well. You can connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at moviesnuspod, or email us at moviesnuspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, anusmedia.co, for the latest on Movies and Us and our other podcasts, TV and Us. We are part of the Movie Archer podcast network. So as Nikko and Adam mentioned, go check out moviearcher.com. And we've got one other squad member, Andrew Corns, for Revisionist Almanac. Go follow more of him as well. We'll be back with another review here on the feed very soon. In the meantime, we hope you have an absolutely amazing week. And thank you for listening. We'll see you soon.